Hi, I'm John Maxwell. When the top companies in the world are looking for trainers, speakers, and coaches, there's one name that stands above the rest, and that's Maxwell Leadership. Our certified team members have gotten proven results for companies all over the globe, and our reputation, I'm proud to say, is second to none. Some of our members have risen to the top of their profession, including the one you're going to meet today. I proudly introduce you to my friend Bob Fabian Zinka.
Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ, where we help you lead with purpose and succeed with impact. If you're ready to grow into the kind of leader others want to follow, this podcast is for you. If you're determined to elevate your success and leave a lasting legacy, this podcast is for you. As my mentor, Dr. John C. Maxwell reminds us, everything rises and falls on leadership. Our goal is simple: to inspire you, challenge you, and equip you with insights that can transform the trajectory of your leadership journey. Welcome aboard to another episode of the Leadership and Success Podcast with Coach BZ.
Hello, everyone. I'm Commander Matthew Reese, United States Navy Reserve. It's an honor to join Coach BZ and all of you all for the newest episode of Leadership and Success Podcast. A little about me: in the last 2 decades, serving as a Naval flight officer, mission commander, program manager, officer in charge, leading sailors across aviation, cyber, and joint operational missions around the world. From multinational exercises in the Pacific to coordinating NATO teams in Afghanistan to supporting crisis response at Pacific Fleet headquarters, I've learned that leadership comes down to integrity, preparation, and the courage to serve others first. Alongside my military career, I worked in technology as a senior manager in AI, data science, and business intelligence, building teams, machine learning solutions, and helping organizations use data to make smarter decisions. Whether uniform and tech sector, passion is the same: mentoring the next generation and helping people unlock their potential. And the newest thing, my newest endeavor, I'm working on a book. It's called Quicksand, using data, science, AI, machine learning to solve some of life's toughest traps. So please help me out with my survey. Anyway, I'm excited to share lessons from my journey, the successes, the failures, and the transitions, and offer insights that can help you with purpose, resilience, and a mindset for continuous growth. Thank you for being here. I'm looking forward to a conversation.
All right, everyone. Thank you for being back. The Leadership and Success Podcast. We already had a podcast earlier this morning, so this is the second time today, and I have a very, very, very special guest. So, as you guys know, every time we meet, we do what we call the moment of gratitude. We just want to take 1 second, just one moment to be grateful. And part of the reason why we do this is because in the U.S. military, it's about 21 service member commit suicide every single day. And I believe it is not possible to be suicidal and be grateful at the very same time. So, if you would maybe close your eyes, put yourself in your happy place, take a deep breath, and think about one thing you are grateful for today. And for me today, I am really grateful for my mother, Pauline Kutakani. I guess she's really the first feminist I knew. She really taught me that whatever a man can do, a woman can do too, if not better. So I am very, very grateful for her example. She's no longer with us. I miss her every single day, but her memory will stay with me forever. So whatever you are grateful for, if you would please type it in the comment. And also, let us know where you are joining us from, what city, what state, and if outside of the US, which country. And also, if you have a question for my guest, please type it in the comments and we're going to be answering live. So let me see if I can properly introduce my friend, my mentor, Commander Matthew Reese. So I guess what I would say to start is it's really my absolute honor to welcome someone who has had a profound impact on my own leadership journey. Commander Matthew Reese, United States Navy. Commander Reese is a transformational naval leader, a mission commander, and a program manager who has led sailors across aviation, cyber, and joint operation around the world. I had the privilege of serving directly under him at SPAWAR San Diego, and I guess they call themselves Naval this day. But anyway, he was my program manager, which is the equivalent of a commanding officer, and I served as his deputy manager, so the executive officer, equivalent for two national level program supporting more than 180 sailors. Some of the best time in my Navy career, really. So he leads with integrity, mentorship, and uncommon commitment to preparing the next generation of leaders, including me personally, coming me to take over as program manager when he departed. So beyond his military accomplishment, he's also a visionary, AI and data science leader in industry, and educator, a purpose-driven mentor, passionate about shaping the future. And it is a real privilege to bring his wisdom, his experience, his leadership philosophy to our global audience today. Please join me in welcoming the one and only, the man I am really, really grateful to call not just my mentor, but my friend, Commander Matthew Reese. All right, Commander, how are you doing
Wow,
today?
Bob, that was an amazing introduction.
All right. So, welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast, Commander Matthew Reese. How are you doing today?
Hey, overall, I'm great. I am so happy to be here. It's so happy to be back and sharing with folks. My good friend and mentee, Bob Zinga. That introduction you gave me today was simply amazing.
Thank you.
That was great, and also to follow Jill McChrystal on a day like today is amazing. So, yeah, I am definitely grateful for being here and being able to share with everyone as I enter the last year of my almost 30 years in naval service.
Wow, I can't believe it. So, because a lot of your mentees, we're pretty sure you would get one of those stars soon. But that is good. You've done a great job, mentored a lot of people, and had a huge impact not only in the US but across around the world. So the first question for you, sir, is what are you grateful for today?
Again, I say at first, definitely grateful for being able just to be here today, being able to share with everyone, and also following Joe McChrystal, and also just to be able to share everything. And I mentioned a little bit about the technology and AI, but then also this new book I'm writing is called Quicksand. I've got so much to share, so I'm just excited to be here and to be share with everyone today, and definitely with someone who was great as yourself, Bob. This is a true blessing.
Well, it is a blessing. And the second question I normally ask, you're gonna remember this question
Mhm.
because it is actually your question is what is something about you that most people may not know?
What is something I may not know? I would say it depends. A couple of things. One, I'm a big time skier. I've been skiing my entire life. This is going to be, I was started skiing at 3 years old. So this is going to mark my 42nd season there. There's a picture there.
Yeah.
I am a big time skier. So I would say the fact that I'm a huge skier and I'm really involved. I'm really involved in getting youth and and I would say at-risk youth for working this year to get them up on the slopes in the Denver metro area.
Okay, let's see if you can turn your camera. For
All
some
right,
reason,
let's try that.
okay, this is perfect. I will just leave it here. Okay,
Okay.
perfect. All right. So, what can you tell us a little bit about your leadership journey? How you got to become Commander Matthew Reese, Senior Officer in the U.S. Navy.
Absolutely, it really starts back in Boulder, Colorado, back in the 1980s. It's hard to believe it's almost been 30 years in some cases. So I was there. I definitely wanted a challenge. I wanted something new, and coming from a landlocked state, the United States Navy just had this huge aura, and
Yes.
this to say, hey, I love Colorado. It's a great place. There's the best skiing in the world, but I wanted to get out of Colorado and see and the Naval Academy, and then before that, Naval Academy Preparatory School, where it's a great opportunity. And then I flew on then something called Continental Airlines, no longer in service, through Cleveland, Ohio, to get to Rhode Island there and spent a whole year there, and then went on down to the Naval Academy. And while I was at NAPS, got a chance to play football, and then track and field at the Naval Academy, as well as gospel choir and a couple of other really, really cool extracurricular activities. And an amazing time and a lot of amazing people. And as I enter my last year, just thinking back and all the privileges I've had. So definitely to share with everyone.
It's really amazing, especially the impact you've had on a lot of people. So when you reflect then on your journey, you said from the Naval Academy to mission commander to Afghanistan, back to SPAWAR and all of that, becoming a senior AI leader. What core values have stayed with you across every chapter?
Yeah, definitely honesty, integrity, and being forthright.
Yes.
Again, the Naval Academy always would have the honor concept. I've had the great privilege to work with future Naval Academy midshipmen through our Blue and Gold program. I'm a Blue and Gold officer for the local area, and just be doing the same thing. Hey, you know what? You've got to tell the truth. You can't lie. You can't stand for the people who do lie or cheat or steal. And that's the first thing, and also telling the truth in all phases, as well as being very forthright with people, saying, "Hey, this is what the expectations are." Setting the precedents and also setting the expectations, and then also being able to stand up. I mean, when you have the integrity, people will follow you. People will want to work with you. People will want you to do things.
Yes.
And what I found is just doing that and always being dependable and always leading with integrity. You make your own luck, and I say luck is nothing more than opportunity. Preparation meets opportunity. When you're always prepared, always doing the right things, those opportunities do come up, even when some opportunities go away. So again, leading in all things and really doing those core values really will take you a very, very long way, no matter what fields you're in.
Yeah, I believe everybody who knows you would definitely say you are trustworthy and person of character. Talking about character, how does character shapes command and technical leadership, you think?
So how does character command technical leadership? Well, really, you would just have to first conduct yourself in a professional and honorable manner. So let's go ahead and talk about it. When we were kind of resurrecting the computer network defense program there at Naval. Before that was called SPAWAR. We just, for me, I didn't know that much about computer network defense, and I was learning a lot, and I felt like I was trying to, what I call catch ahead, trying to catch up and get ahead all at the same time. So I was trying to get everyone there. Say, okay, who here? What skills do we have? And how do we get ahead while taking courses and everything else, and doing working on certifications like Network Plus and Sec Plus and my Certified Ethical Hacker, all while trying to build the staff and everything else, and then really trying to get something I talked about in some of my LinkedIn writings is a small early win. How do you get the small early win or quick early win? And for us, that was just getting summits, having 2 days, usually a weekend in January, where everybody would fly in, and we would be able to talk about what we're going to do for the year, where we're going to go, and also finding some other pieces. And another thing is we had something called the Cyber Collegiate Defense Competition. For those who don't know about it, essentially, you have colleges from all across the United States that get to compete, and they had regional competitions, and we were able to help support that. And that was a great quick win to get people there, to get people in the program, and to get them excited because something they could definitely do. And then we would meet up at the summit later. We'd meet up at the summit. We would set the CCD schedule, have people go to those, and then also have them do their assignments. So therefore, you very quickly you go from having no events to a full calendar of events. And the trick was to have that calendar event, so everyone knows, okay, October, November, you're going to start getting
Yeah.
ready. You might have something. We're going to have the summit in January. We're going to have the CCDCs in February through about June, and then
Yes.
starting in March through the summer, we were going to have some of the events for flying either to San Diego, Charleston, Hawaii, and doing
Mhm.
our events there. And therefore, you filled out the yearly rotation, and everyone felt like this is a great program with a yearly cadence. And once you got it rolling, it went really well, and people felt like they could really contribute in one
Hmm.
way.
That was really quite amazing, especially at an O4. We both were lieutenant commander back then, which normally the program manager at SPAWAR was an O6, so that's a captain, but just not did an outstanding job. So, what about integrity? How can leaders maintain integrity when under pressure, from the demand of operational tempo to corporate deadline to high stake decision?
Well, I think it's a couple things. The first thing is you gotta work on your body. So you got to make sure that when you're getting very very stressed. Sometimes the first thing that people will do is they'll stop working out or getting an exercise or doing whatnot. And I think that's the worst thing you do. So you want to make
Mm.
sure that when you get really really stressed, even take 20-30 minutes to get a workout, do some push-ups, go for a run, a bike ride. That can do a lot to clear your mind and make things different. So when you have a very clear mind, then you make the best smart decisions. So when you're having all that stress, that's when I think people can compromise their integrity by say something that isn't correct or isn't true. They might, or at least might get goaded into that path. So that's the hardest thing,
Right.
is to say, okay, let me take a break, let me go work out, or do something to clear my mind, get my stress down, so I'm not goaded into that path. And that's what I've seen, where sometimes people just think, hey, it's a lot worse than it is. And
Mm.
also, you have to make sure you're asking the tough questions as you go, so you're not getting to
Yes.
a point where you're boxed into a corner. There's no other alternatives, and you feel like the only way you can get out of this trap is to lie or compromise your integrity. And it's
Mm.
not easy. And I don't want people to think, oh my God, it's something you do. It's something you just have to work on, and always asking the tough questions and following up and putting in the hard work to say, hey, well, what's really going on here? Can we find another way out? And always having that moral high ground. So, not easy. It's gonna be a lot of
Mm.
hard work, but it is doable. And make sure that when you're getting stressed, you're still having 20-30 minutes at least to work out 3 days a week. And I think that goes a long way toward managing stress and making the best decision
Yes.
possible.
But I think from part of what you said, one thing that does help a lot is having a role model. So you were a role model for a lot of us. What were some of your own role model people that you look up to that kind of help you stay in the straight and narrow?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a couple that there's so many, but there's a couple I want to highlight. Definitely, Admiral Halsey. I met him when I was a young. I was a young lieutenant, junior grade. I was a VP4. He was the head of HLSL 37. Got to meet him and his wife, both amazing
Yeah.
people. In more of just a social setting. And, we were talking, career opportunity about future careers. It was different because obviously he was
Yes.
a helicopter pilot. He was head of a helicopter squadron, and I was a naval flight officer doing a P3 squadron. Well, some of the things definitely that he mentioned to me were things like, okay, well, this is what you can do. This is how you do things, and hey, here's how you recover from things if they don't go well.
Yes.
And he was saying, hey, things are gonna not go well. You're gonna have times where you're gonna get tripped up. This is how you recover from them. So it was
Wow.
see, and how he never. I mean, maybe he never seemed to get rattled and whatnot. And as people said,
That's amazing.
he was very smooth on top, but kick
Yes.
underneath. A very amazing person, and learned a lot from him in our interactions in Hawaii before he departed. And then we had
Wow.
for some two amazing.
Actually, his integrity, I've definitely put him in the news lately. And it's
That's
amazing to
true.
see someone at such a high level, keeping their integrity, even willing to retire as a 3-star admiral instead of 4, just because it's the right thing to do. It's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you did mention one more person beside Admiral Halsey.
Yes, absolutely. So there was him, and then as far as the other mentors, or just people in general.
Uh, People in general is fine
Oh,
also.
yeah, definitely him. I think from then, I think some of the other program managers that we had, Benefits, SPAWAR, and
Yes.
Naval, and some others, and yeah, some of the N3 folks. They were just amazing.
Yes.
Getting a chance to work with them, the trust they had in me to say, okay, yeah, you can run this program, and and then that facility faculty, and say, hey, go out there and make this
Yes.
happen. Go out there and really empower people, and definitely their ability to
Hmm.
empower me and others, including yourself. Hey, let's go here. Let's go rebuild these programs. Let's go out and do. Let's go out and make
Amazing.
sure we're getting to the ships, and we're figuring out what what in this case, what the fleet needed, and in
Yeah.
terms of base and other things. So definitely the
So
other
true.
program managers and leadership were definitely my mentors at that point in time.
Yeah. Right now, I remember Captain Jeff Adams. He was our very first sponsor
Absolutely.
for Sandy. Yeah. I really love the way he led. So you've served as a mission commander responsible for aircrew, complex operation, employment of live ordnance. What did those missions teach you about calm, clarity, and command presence?
See here, I would just say that the best thing I got to do is a couple things. I got to drop a fake mine there in Thailand. Just the amount of preparation that goes in, and that's how you really get the calm and the clarity is from the preparation. All the time you're putting in to saying, hey, how are we going to do this? What's going to happen? What do we need? What are some of the things we're not anticipating? And controlling, some other variables there. For instance, like the weather, couldn't we control that? It was going to be hot.
Mm.
Some of the crew was getting a little sick, including myself. Some of the food there, the water was causing some issues, and and I was just keeping my own anxiety up. Hey, that was the only time I got a chance to drop anything out of a P3 was
Yes.
in Thailand for Cobra Gold all those years ago. And and just saying, hey, this could be the coolest thing I'm get to do. Let's go ahead and put the time in and make sure we're really accounting for any type of hiccups we may have and whatnot,
Hmm.
and things like that. And just also, what I always say is always assume you'll never get the opportunity to do it again,
Yes.
because you may not, and just do the best you can and make it hurt. Hey, if you're tired, hey, make sure you get your proper amount of sleep, and make sure you're doing everything you can to make this the best
Yes.
possible event, because you may not get a chance to do it again in the future, and you will likely regret not putting the time and preparation in to make it successful. So I would say
Wow.
thereabouts, either from dropping mine at Cobra Gold to anything else, and how it's applicable is just
Yes.
saying, I will never get this chance again. Let's put all the time and energy I can to do it, to make it a success,
Hmm.
lasting impact.
That's powerful. Really living in the present. So your deployment to Afghanistan placed you in a joint coalition environment with NATO, OMLTs, CSTC, Alphas. What leadership muscle did that environment force you to develop?
Well, it was really interesting. So I think it was like April of 2008. And all of a sudden I said, hey, you know what? You got to go to Afghanistan for a year. And it was a crazy time. So I was in Hawaii, and then I came home a little bit. And then I had to get to Fort Riley, Kansas. I remember getting there and then going to San Diego first, and getting there, and all of a sudden, I was a lieutenant. It was me. There was a chief, and then I think there was a first class petty officer, and there was a total of like 40 some HMs there. So, for those
Hmm.
that are not familiar with the term, that's the hospital corpsman for the Navy. That's the HM designation. And all of a sudden, I went from flying and potentially dropping mines, and potentially chasing submarines, and being involved in exercises, to them giving me a weapon, two weapons,
Ah.
and a 9mm, and giving me up armored Humvees and other vehicles with so many of these other folks, and they were great people. And first, we were in Kansas, and we were driving around, and I couldn't believe why in the world did anyone think it was a good idea to give 40 some sailors Humvees and weapons and everything. And things were good, things were bad. We had some mistakes and hiccups and a lot of learning to say, okay, this is not there. Some of the folks were, FMF, Fleet Marine Force Corpsmen. So they had been with the Marine Corps, they'd been in the infantry, and they had experience, but some of them were not. Some of them were actually converted from being dental techs. So there was a huge disparity there. But it was a great time with those folks. We were able to leverage all the experience, and we learned so much every day. About working with the vehicles and everything. And there were some bad days. I mean, one there was a day where someone actually shot the M4 and it hit the shield of the Humvee and it bounced back. And that was a rough day for me because they had to make sure that the slug actually hit the guy, and they had to make sure it didn't stay in his arm. Very scary day for me. And then going from there to Afghanistan, and then learning a whole new set of parameters and everything else. So at the time, I was working with what they called omelets, which was an operation mentoring and liaison team for the Combined Security Transition Command, CSTICA. And that is obviously gone away now. But at the time, what we were really doing there was the fact that we had a lot of these countries that were participating, right? A lot of the NATO countries and others. And, so we had to indoctrinate them and tell them about working with the Afghan National Army. And that was difficult. We were able to go through and, I got to see the entire whole country, got to meet a lot of great people, a lot of great NATO folks there. But it was very difficult going from one thing to another. The biggest thing I would say there is always be prepared. And here's the correlation. I call this the Mike Tyson correlation. And I'm thinking I'm going to write this in the book, is that people say that Mike Tyson wasn't the biggest puncher. I can't say he seemed pretty vicious to me, right? But people said the reason he knocked so many people out is they could not see his punches coming. So those left, those uppercuts, and that's kind of like a career in the Navy in a nutshell. It's the punches you do not see coming that hurt the most and can floor you. And I'll say that, whether it was going to Afghanistan on like 42 days notice, as I mentioned, that was a punch I didn't see coming, or or some other things I've been able to do. I didn't see that coming, and then being able to cope with those things you don't see coming and keeping your wits is really some of the things I would tell people. Be ready, be available, and also be able to adapt, because I guarantee you, if you career of naval service, or if you have career in corporate America or whatnot, there's always going to be punches that you do not see coming. And those are the ones that are toughest to react to, because those are the ones that can floor you. And if you do forward, dust yourself off, get back up slowly, and just be thankful that you are where you are. You have the things you have, and the family and the great people in your life.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because one thing I really love about leadership is those principles seems to be universal, right? We get those through our Navy career, but they are really applicable in tech, in business, in academia, no matter the industry. How did those experiences kind of test your faith, your fear, and your resilience?
I've had my faith, fear, experience as far as in industry, or it's still in the military part?
Military.
Okay. I would say that kind of the things I mentioned before, with the Mike Tyson corollary there, it was always the things you didn't see coming. And I think part of it is that, you had these expectations that, okay, I'm here, in aviation, hey, we're here, we're a junior squadron, and then you're going to go to some shore duty, and then you're going to come back, and you're going to have this path. For the most part, the path is very well defined. But in my case, they had something called the individual augmentee, where they were just sending people to Afghanistan. At the time, we had a dual front war in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Mhm.
So I would say that tested me there, as I kind of mentioned. It was that, hey, I didn't see that coming. This wasn't supposed to be like that. I'm supposed to go here, fly,
Yes.
short tour back in Hawaii or somewhere else, or maybe Jacksonville.
Mhm.
And when you have a situation like that where you don't see it coming, and the expectation isn't the reality, is being able to deal with that and finding other ways. And my way was definitely finding things like working out, lots of weightlifting,
Yes.
and skiing, as you mentioned. Say that's another
Mhm.
thing is make sure you have a go-to pastime or other um, sport, or other interest or hobby,
That's
uh,
true.
because you're going to need to lean on that hobby at times when things aren't as good. And I can't tell you, no matter whatever problem I think I have, it can definitely be solved in a powder day, especially powder day at Vail or somewhere like that. But definitely, just
Yes.
get a good day of skiing is so refreshing, because for me, I feel so small out there and on the mountain after having done a great day of moguls and bumps and done 26,000.
Wow.
So I say, in conclusion, again, Mike Tyson corollary: the punches you don't see coming, the ones that can knock you out, but always
Yes.
a hobby or pastime to rely on and lean on, because that will definitely put everything back in perspective. You'll be able to deal with it much, much better, and realize that
Mm.
every setback I think I've ever had is actually led to a much better and future and more insight. So
Wow.
it definitely.
That that is quite powerful. I know the Marine says semper fi, always faithful. One thing we learn in the Navy is semper gumby, right? You don't always know what's going to come next, but you definitely have to be adaptable. Let's go back to SPAWAR, which I guess they call Naval these days. So you were my program manager. I was your deputy to national level program, more than 186 sailors, which would deploy all across America and around the world. So what leadership philosophy guided the way you built the program and empowered and trusted your leadership team?
Definitely servant leadership. Something that I went and studied as I did so I got my program manager professional PMP, the Agile Certified Practitioner.
Hmm.
Basically, what I did was said, hey, what is stopping these sailors from going on these missions? What's stopping these
Yes.
sailors from being able to do the best in computer network defense? What is really holding us back? And then the first thing we did is we got all the people who used to be in the program. For those who don't know, there was a C&D program and it had gone away, and we decided to bring it back. And we were
Mhm.
bringing it back. Um, we had to figure out what happened and who was there. And we got a hold of people who had been in the program and had been mainstays. And we had the surveys, and we found out a couple things. One, we had a skills deficit. Two, we had a bit of an AT deficit. And three, we didn't have a way to tie in everything together. So
Mhm.
first the skills deficit, we had to say, okay, how do we fix this? And then we fix it and say, hey, you know what, everyone's going to need to do net plus and sec plus, which were two certifications. But also we needed people to do things like certified ethical hacker and CISSP. So we went out and we had to say the first year was going to be a level of skill building. So we got as many people
Mhm.
to that CEH as possible the first year. It was a training. It was a week long. It was a boot camp style. So you're getting there at 6 a.m. We're going almost at midnight with an instructor, and after training, talking about, okay, this is how you do exploits. This is how you counter exploits. This is the certified ethical hacker. Um, this was their book of knowledge and whatnot, and understanding how to do all that and doing all the training and understanding how to do it. And at the end of the week, having people take the test and get their certification. So that
Yes.
was the first thing. And then we had some other new programs that were coming in. It was the one where they had the scans and they were uploading the scans. And
Hmm.
we had to figure out, hey, we got to be experts on that and figure out how to do that. And the second part was providing a service to the fleet. And so one of the first things we were figured out how to do was say, okay, you know what, we're going to need to be able to say, this is what we can do for the fleet. And we figured out the two things they wanted. They wanted feedback. They were
Yes.
doing the scans. And the second thing is they wanted hands-on training. So we set up some hands-on training in a couple of fleet concentration areas, Hawaii, Norfolk, San Diego, and others, and that went a long
Mm.
way. Say, here, make sure everyone shows up. So we would show up, and we would have, all day long. We had all um,
Wow.
the IT folks from every ship. They would come for a day of training, and everybody was really, really, really um, gracious. And that's one thing
Mhm.
that we found out. Hey, the people on the ships were saying, we want this training, we want it, but you guys got to come here, and we get to send our ITC for a day, and
Yes.
we just literally just email the ships directly, said, here, we're providing this service, we'll be here, just send you guys over here to
Mm.
college center, and they would give us a room in the college center. And we'd have 30 sailors, all the ITs would just show up, and then some others saying, well, we're so happy you guys are here, there's no training, there's no one else doing anything, thank you so much for doing this. And
Yes.
we fulfilled the need, and the last part was just going forward to tie it together. Hey, we found these needs, we've had this, and then people saw it. So you had the natural 12-month rotation. So you could say, you know what, we're going to have um, you're going to have the summit, then we're going to have the CCDCs, then we're going to have our sessions where we're going out into the fleet concentration areas and over the summers, and then the fall reloading and doing training, and then starting all over. And once you get one or two iterations, it starts going, and people start saying, hey, this is the place to be, and this is do,
Yes.
because most people really, really, really wanted to be a part of the computer network defense piece, and helping to do the tougher.
Absolutely. And one thing everybody learn when you lead, I guess one thing you said a lot, if you want trust,
Mhm.
lead with truth, but if you want loyalty, lead with consistency. Can you expand that
Yeah,
for the audience?
absolutely. I mean, as far as if you want loyalty, lead with consistency. So the trick there is to make sure you're telling people like very consistent, forthright, um, uh, you know, mission statement of what we're going to do. And every
Mm.
meeting, and we used to have them every Tuesday, for
Yeah.
every Tuesday for 90 minutes sometimes if you're there talking. Here, this is what we're going to do. And, it never changed. And I said, hey, we're going to have
Yeah.
a 12-month cadence, and we're going to do this, and you're going to do this. And as people sit there and realize, okay, everything he's saying is coming to fruition. We're doing our training. We are having our summit. Now we're doing our events, and people would go to different colleges. And that was a lot of fun for people, too, because
Yes.
something they may or may not have been able to do before, or again, some of those folks
Hmm.
are able to go to a college and see a competition and represent the Navy in a recruiting aspect. And
Yeah.
people say, I've never gotten to do that again, as something I mentioned
Wow.
before. So that was there. So just saying the exact same thing, being on message, and
Yes.
a good understanding, and writing a mission statement. For me, that was clear. Here's our mission statement. Here's what we're going to do, and how we're going to do it. Now, you're
Wow.
saying, if you what was the other piece about the honesty you're saying?
Yeah, I think you have to say if you want truth will lead to trust, and then consistency to loyalty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, then as far as just being honest, hey, you have to tell people the honest truth, right? So one thing I did struggle with the first year was, we didn't have at the time what's called annual training. So we had these IDTTs where you could move some of your weekends and fly in to speak with us, and we had some, but for a lot of the sailors, they needed a 2-week annual training, and they would have to go get that somewhere else. And
Mm.
that was a huge deficit for us, because they could contribute, but then they had to go somewhere else for the annual training. So that was the first thing I just decided for the second year is, we are going to make sure we have annual trainings. You're
Yes.
going to get those uh, on a calendar. We're going to get them early and get people signed up. And once we put those out there, and we were able to get them recognized, and we did,
Mm.
even though they weren't that great the first year because we're getting the kinks out, it was key, because then people said, hey, I can do everything in this
Under the program.
program instead of having to split my program with somewhere else. And once we did that,
Yes.
I started liking those and really enjoying them. And then the you could just see people light up, and
Hmm.
great, this is now a comprehensive
Yes.
program. So go back to you saying, hey, making sure that I was staying on message, and making sure we were identifying the issues. Hey, it wasn't a comprehensive program the first year, years 2, 3, and 4.
Yes.
It is a comprehensive program. And now that we've done that, people are satisfied,
Mm,
and our scores are going up, and on all of our surveys and finding things. And
amazing.
great thing we were able to do. And then once you get the first one out there, we were there, the fleet concentration areas, trying to figure out what they were also missing and making the year. And then after that, better and better. So that was a little bit of the iterative, continuous,
Mhm.
continuous development. In this case, it was a 1-year iteration where we would try to make every bit better, but every year, as the program manager, you make it better and better and better, and
Yes.
see the improvement. And there was ways to do that, such as from the summit. First, I'd only get there a half a day early or a day early. Then I
Yes.
said, program manager, I need to be there this whole week. So I get there on a Monday, stay the whole week, and then be writing up all the slides and doing everything we need to do to get the program ready for the
Mhm.
summit. The summit would come, and then the summit would be a lot more successful. And then from there, we would go further and
And
thing like that, and finding ways to meet people and work with the staff there. Because one thing I did
yes.
realized was that sometimes the staff, they wouldn't want to come on weekends, but if I was there for the week, I could talk to them on a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday
Hmm.
to be able to better respond. So that was definitely what I learned. So
Wow.
continuous development is great, but also, if you're having a year iteration, having a continuous development on yearly iterations is also key.
That is really, really powerful. But really, it was revolutionary, especially for the reserve, right? Because I've been in unit in the reserve where all people do is read the newspaper on Saturday or Sunday. They have absolutely nothing to do. Boring, boring, computer training all day. That's really not the reason why people normally join the military. But in our programs, I mean, we had people, they hardly went to their local command center. I guess we used to call them Navy Reserve Center, NRC, because they would spend their entire time just flying all across the country and
Yeah,
around the world. It was so much fun. And then also, while they do that, they are affecting, right, the cyber readiness of the number one fleet in the world. And you could add it into your fitness report and your eval, and that is really huge. I don't know how many people who really promote it because of the work, the opportunity we really made available for them for CND and CCDC. It's just amazing.
yeah, I mean, absolutely. That was something else we could probably talk about just really quick. The attitudes of what people were into. So, when I first got to the reserve, the first unit I was with, it was more of a unit where, hey, we're just gonna stay here, and then 2 weeks we're gonna do our 2 weeks of annual
Mhm.
training. For the most part, yeah, we're gonna be reading the paper, just not doing so much. But then I got a chance to go to SPAWAR in Austin, and the whole mentality changed. It was like, okay, let's go to the NOSC, for folks who don't know, the Naval Operations Support Center, the Reserve Center. Go that as least as possible. So that was our whole
Mhm.
thing. Was I would go there in October, get all my requirements done for the year,
Yes.
and I would get everything done for the year, and we would be set for the year. It's okay, great. We've done all of our GMT. We've done all this, we've done all this other
Mhm.
things. We've done their physical fitness assessment. Uh, that's done. That's done. So everything we need to do for the NOSC or NRC is done for the year. So now we can just focus on
The mission.
the program, and then flying here and moving around and doing this, and in certain cases
Yes.
we were I was on the road it seemed like every other month I was flying here or
Yeah.
flying there, especially soon in the CCDC season, and it was great. I was getting
Yes.
at, but other people were certainly, they weren't necessarily unhappy with us, but their whole deal was different. They were like, I don't want to do that. I just want to show up here Saturday morning, do this, and that's
Mhm.
what I want to do. And it was just so much different
Yes.
from what we were doing, where people would never see us. And there were times where people were like, I've never seen you. How come is see your name and is on a order set from flying here and flying there, and
Yes.
because this is what we want to do. This is what we believe that sailors can do in the reserve, and if you do,
Mhm.
like it a lot better. You really, really enjoy.
Mm.
Again, not everybody could perform to that level. They couldn't take all that extra time. Again, we were doing a lot of Tuesday night sessions, and people
Yeah.
were getting pulled away from their families a little bit. And we had to find a lot of dedicated people who also believed like we did.
Yes.
That. And then the last thing, you got to find a way to reward those people. So how do we reward people? We were able to reward them, from some certain ways. Some people like to say, hey, you know what? If you're able to help us here, you can do a CCDC and an annual training and maybe another ADT for people who want to get there. And for a lot of those folks, that would be funds and be able to do this or find ways to get them recognized, because you can say, hey, you support us. You did our annual summit and a competition and an annual training. And then, hey, we had more sailors of the quarter.
Yes.
Than else, because we would say, hey, person came, they did all this stuff, therefore they should get sailor of the quarter. And once you start seeing that, you start attracting more of those sailors who are like, hey, I want to do this, I want to get sailor of the quarter, I want to travel, I don't want to sit around and you also had people who like, hey, I like the extra money. I mean, reserve, but for some of those folks who had the right civilian job set up situations, they were able to be very financially beneficial, and it kind of found the right people. So I say, in conclusion, you got to find the right people for the right people, and then we have that consistent setup, and those folks will then flop. And it was an amazing experience, and I'm gonna do a little bit of a vignette on that in the book with Quicksand, and talk a little bit about it and how to do it, and so it's getting there.
Really, really, really amazing. And I know the NASC of the NRC, they loved us a lot too, because it was very, very difficult for most of the unit at the NRC to just do the basic requirement for the year. Usually by August, September, they were like, hey, you have to do your GMT. But for us, we did it at the beginning of the year. So they really loved us for it. But then also really the way you took care of the people. So even when we went on Evolution, usually you would have a night out, usually Friday or Thursday night before we left, where everybody could come to have a great meal and just have a good time too. Yeah, we worked very, very hard, but we had a lot of fun time too. So I really learned all of that from you. So why was it important to you to groom your deputy, including myself, to eventually take over as program manager?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. First of all, one thing I like to mention to piggyback on what you mentioned there, you got to make it fun. So night where everybody would come out, we got to go to dinner and gas lamp, and everybody would come out and enjoy. You really have to have that, so it wasn't just all business, and have a chance for everybody to go and break bread. So I think that was a key thing. The second thing is, survivability. One thing that I always talk about, if you're building new things, one of the things that I've always said and felt through either, no matter what I've done, going back to the Naval Academy, going back to when I was the president of Black Studies Club and others, there's got to be survivability. If you build something, that's great. But when you leave, is it going to be able to survive? Because in the Navy, everyone rotates and moves. And if you don't do a good enough job of building it, then it'll wash away. So I say, hey, always got to make sure you have people that will pick up when you're gone and when you move on. And sometimes the best thing ever to me is to go back and go something I've done 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years ago, and still see it, and still see the impact that I've made. There was one time back in high school, I had something where we were building this group for youth. And then I went back a couple of years ago during COVID, and then I was a chance to talk, and someone else said, well, I remember you, Matt, and then because of you, I got in it. And then someone said, because that guy, they got in it. And they drew the lineage all the way back to me 20 years. That was amazing. And the same thing, hey, I think you've got to build things and develop people, so when you leave, it'll be better. You have to be a mentor. You have to find people to mentor. If you don't find people to mentor, what are you doing? Plus, you get their energy too, of them being young. So I think the fact to be able to mentor people in the Navy as well as in private sector, and finding people and just grabbing some folks and getting involved in stuff like, you have an intern, meet all the interns, and see what they have, and just grab them for a session. And I had a chance where we had in private sector, we had a situation where You had all the interns. We got them. We talked about AI. We gave them a presentation on AI machine learning,
Mhm.
and we talked. And I did a survey, and I got to understand what they were thinking and what they thought about AI and machine learning and data science, and even and some of that refreshing energy they had as young people goes so far. And I think sometimes people can get a little bit cocooned into only talking to people that are their peers and whatnot, and not really reaching out to the young folks and
Yes.
really, to really understand what they're going through and to see their perspectives. And you can learn so much by having those mentees and mentors up and down the line. So I would
Mhm.
say, one, you got to always think, hey, I could leave. One of the things with the Navy Reserve, at any given time, I could have been mobilized, and I did that. I said, you know what? If I get mobilized today, who's going to take this over?
Mm.
In such a who's going to take this over? Uh, and make sure that all the hard work that I put into this the last 2 or 3 years not all for naught. Who is
Yes.
going to over? You have to always find people that are gonna get there and be willing to do it. And then and that's why I said, well, I saw I say Bob's got all this energy. He's loving this, and he's even got a better background than I do in computer defense, right?
Mm.
And then finding other people said, hey, this person might have the technical background, maybe the leadership isn't there, and
Mm.
everyone has different abilities, and you got to try to figure, okay, how can we get this person there? Or maybe you partner people up, say, okay, this person has
Mm.
technical ability, this person's great leadership ability, put them together. So together as one, they're going to be able to carry it out. And then sometimes you have groups where hey, you have one really good leader, and you have a bunch of other people who just really just do their part, and then
Yes.
also tell accepting the reality and saying, this isn't going to be active duty. This might be here. This person's good doing this. This person's doing this. You just
Mm.
have to have role players here. This is what's going to be successful, and being honest with yourself and saying, hey, it's not going to be, all these people doing all this work. It's going to be, or sorry, it's not going to be 3 people doing a large portion. It's going to
Well,
be 5 to 15 people doing smaller pieces, and
mhm.
as a cohesively as a whole, you'll be able to succeed, and that can be difficult for people. So I'd say, in conclusion, you got to always think that, hey, I could lead, I could be mobilized, which I could have at any given time, and I want to make sure all the hard work that I've done is not going to be all for naught, and leave a legacy and make things better than when you got there. If you've done that, then you've truly succeeded.
Well, so let me ask you this one more question before we move into the second segment. I could talk for you forever. So much wisdom. Let's talk about artificial intelligence and emerging tech. You are definitely a great leader in that space. So you've built AI chatbots, predictive model, remote sensing platform, and enterprise scale analytics. What do you believe will be the most important leadership skill in an AI driven environment?
Well, I think it's gonna depend. I think it's gonna be based on honesty, integrity, being forthright. So
Hmm.
ask, what is AI? What is going to be the biggest aspect, the biggest advantage? It's going to be people who use AI um, to make it to be a force multiplier, something like to say. So, what does force multiplier mean? Hey, if you only have 100 people, the force multiplier can make those 100 people, 100 sailors, and to 200 or 250, or the effect piece. You know what I mean? Things like that. And um, so if you know AI, it can really make you that much better and that much faster at everything. So, and that's what I've been able to see is what instead of having situations where you needed 20 people, you have 6 or 7 really good people with AI
Mhm.
can make up for that. So I
Wow.
the companies that can really figure out what they need AI for, how they're going to use it, and use it to augment the people, and then get the buy-in. Those are the companies that are really going to be successful. Those are going to be the units
Hmm.
that do great things. Because things I've seen is that, hey, I think 2018, 2019, data science was all the rage, and
Yes.
robotic process automation was all the rage, and then in 2022, 2023, it was more machine learning, and now it's AI. So I think that the difference is how long is this going to be here, and how long are you going to have this impact before it goes on to something new?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like they get hot for a while. The difference is with with machine learning and RPA and others, only the practitioners could really do it. Only the people who'd studied machine learning, RPA, and data science. They were going to the ones that are going to be firing up Python notebooks or firing up Altrex or using other
Yeah.
and doing it. Now with generative AI and all these other engines, everyone can do. Anyone can do it. They can just go there and
Yes.
click in something, or some of the apps they can make videos and everything. So I think you're now seeing something that every man can use, and you're also going to have the youth starting in elementary school, and it's going to have a much lasting effect. So I think
Mm.
I have to say, hey, you know what? When people are asking, hey, is this product something you developed? You guys say, yes, it was developed by me, but I was aided by AI. How are we going to use this? How are you going to use the cross checks to make sure everything you're doing stands up to an integrity check? Did you create?
Mhm.
Did AI create this? And where could the vulnerabilities be? Because one thing I've seen is they might have built something for you, but the source material could be bad, or it could be corrupted. I've seen that already.
Mhm.
Thing where it grabbed something from a site that was a nefarious site, so and
Yeah.
that leaked in to your generative AI piece.
Yeah. And sometimes AI can just make up stuff too.
Yeah, sounds like it's like so it depends. Now there's ways you can do it. You can limit it to only repositories that have quoted that are
Yes.
with academic submissions that have references quoted and everything else. But then stuff can get uh, dragged in there, as you mentioned, and all of a sudden you
Yeah.
have to make sure you're cross-referencing and doing QA checks. So I would say, in conclusion, it's a great tool, powerful tool. You don't want to get left behind, but quality assurance is going to be key, because that's how you're going
Mm.
to figure out, okay, well, is this correct? Is
That's
this not?
powerful.
And do you not want to get something that's nefarious dragged in, and it's going to haunt you for a while? So it's a very great space
Sure.
going on, a very, very exciting field.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. I think they call it AI hallucination. It happens quite often. But I think, especially for the military, I think human oversight, right, man in the middle, is so important. We cannot just let this machine learning or AI take over and make all of the decision and make things happen. We need to have people, like you say, to review, making sure everything is compliant and exactly what we are looking for. But it's true today. Another professor, I think from Stanford, said um, the only people who are going to be losing their job these days are people who don't want to use AI at all. People who use AI will be
Right.
replacing other people who don't. So we really have to embrace it. Let's talk about your book just a little bit. Quick sound, right? Let me see if I can share my screen. I think I have it shared here. Oh, just a second. I'm gonna share my screen because you sent us uh, a form that the audience could actually fill out. So while I'm waiting for that to show up, can you maybe tell us what is the primary message of your upcoming book? What you want the audience to get out of it?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I was thinking about was when I decided to write the book. Freakonomics was definitely something that the book I read with Levitt and Dubner, the authors, that really changed my life. And I was thinking about, there was a couple of things. The first, I was definitely a child of the '80s and '90s and all the pop culture, and back in those times, you had all these private detective shows. There was Knight Rider, there was Airwolf, Heart and Heart, and others. And I said, well, hey, what if we could have a superhero where the superhero in this particular case, is you can see there, that's just the form. Um,
Hmm.
how about we use this data and AI in order to solve some of the life's toughest mysteries? So it's toughest traps. Again, how do you get out of the trap? So one thing about quicksand was that growing up, you're always seeing your superheroes getting trapped in quicksand and everything else, and it was always. I figured just growing up, it was going to be a much bigger issue for me and than it ever has been in real life. I said, oh my God, I'll be stuck
Yes.
and how do I get out? What are the traps that we deal with in life? Everything from finances and relationships and all these other pieces. These are the bigger
Mhm.
traps. So with that being said, I just said, okay, let's go ahead and let's create a survey. And I create a survey, and then the people go ahead and take the survey there. And then once I get the results, I'm using the AI, machine learning, everything else to write the book, and based on a vignette style. So
Mhm.
we're excited to do it. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, and I've been working on it.
Wow.
Have. I'm going to make this happen, and really just to have it. And then, we could sell a million copies. That'd be great. If I
Yes.
copies, I'd be happy. But I also want to go share the results with some local, middle schools and high schools and other people. Talk about here data science, what you can do.
Mm.
Have that, I think, by kind of focusing on a little bit lighthearted of the 80s and 90s, private detective pieces in the vignette style and some of the other
Wow.
cool things in there. It'll really get them involved and really get them toward data science and applied statistics and things that I actually love and changed my life. Post Navy career, and also telling stories about the Navy and stuff within the book too. I'm definitely
Mhm.
stories about the Naval SPAWAR program. I want to definitely talk about in the book a little bit of the things I learned both
Yes.
at Fort Riley and then going to Afghanistan and the omelet piece,
Mm.
aviation stuff at the Naval Academy as well, and everywhere else in between. So I'm really excited to do it. I finally have some time to do it. I'm gonna make it happen,
Right.
and I feel like, hey, you know what? Published author is the next thing I want to make sure I can add to my resume. Uh,
Absolutely. Well, I can predict it will be an instant bestseller. Anything I can do to help with your
yeah,
project, please let me know. Even just a blurb or something. But I think it's gonna help a lot of people. Of course, once it's published, we want you back on the show. Okay. Technically, I am out of time, but you said you can give me another 15 minutes, right?
yeah, sure thing.
Okay, okay. We are gonna take this plan down soon. So let me go to the second portion of the show. That's where I really focus just on leadership. Now that we have a pretty good idea about your background, what you have done, let's see about your mindset. Why did you make the decisions that you made and add all of the impact you've had? So one question I would ask is, what do you think is the greatest lesson in life, in leadership in general, you have learned so far?
Greatest, that's a tough one. Greatest
Lesson.
lesson. Oh wow, I think there's a lot. Again, I think I'm gonna have to go back to say living your life with honor, integrity, and just being honest. I
Yes.
can't tell you how many times that being brutally honest with people will get you out of so many pitfalls.
Yes.
And that's the one thing is, if you have that, people will just respect you so much more. It's simply saying, hey, here is the situation. Here's what we had to do. And then you don't get yourself caught up and just being honest with folks. And because if you do lie to folks, they will be frustrated and angry with you for a long time. But you just to be honest,
Yes.
hey, this is what happened. We had to do this. Unfortunately, I can't give everyone an EP. And for the Navy, that means an
Hmm.
A, which is the highest rating you can get. You have to get one below. You can tell, but you have situations you're saying, you know what? I wish I could, but I cannot do this.
Yes.
Or tell
Yes.
said, hey, I know someone before let you essentially get away with something, but now I have to enforce this standard. And here's the reason why. And here is, the documented standard. So you can be upset what you want, but I will have the moral high ground because, the
Yeah.
regulation is stated this way, and I am following the regulation, and it doesn't matter if in the past it was not followed.
Yes.
That's what I've seen is just being honest, having integrity, being forthright with people too, and just saying, "Hey, this is what was expected. This is not expected." You said to turn early, you're not going to have those issues. So
Mm.
definitely, the best lesson is just to be forthright. A lot of people these days do have a tough time being forthright, and a lot of folks don't like to have difficult conversations, and
Yes.
that's something that you just have to do, and people make so much more for having those difficult conversations
Mm.
early and often, and that will that would go a long way toward getting ahead of difficult having issues with people,
Yes.
and level setting if you have those difficult conversations early and often, and you're also very consistent.
That is so powerful. So, what do you think is the greatest leadership advice you have ever received?
Um, if you're interested in something, go for it.
Mm,
And then I might put something slightly different on the form there, but lead with integrity. But if you really are interested, and you really are compelled to do it, and you feel it's the right thing to do, then just do it as long as it's
yes.
right and everything. Because I've seen that where sometimes you can kind of talk your way out of things. But if you're really engaged in something and you really think this is the right thing, just do it that way. And again, follow regulations, and that
Hmm.
will really go a long way. And I would say that was one of
Powerful.
the lessons I've learned, is saying, because if you have a situation where you have one item that you're a little mediocre on, a little lukewarm, and one that you're really hot on, go for the ones you want to hot on. Go do that, and if it doesn't work out, you might be able to then find a way to
Mm,
do a post mortem.
yes.
One additional point I want to talk about is the post mortem. And what does that mean, post mortem? Post mortem is like, hey, if you do something that doesn't work out, go back and figure out why it didn't work out, and that's something
Hmm.
not enough people do. Hey, why didn't this work out? Hey, I didn't get this. I didn't get promoted to this this certain thing. I didn't get this. I didn't get this job. I didn't do well in this interview. You got to go back and figure out what it was and what you can do better. Hey, did you put enough time in?
Mm,
Or where was were you unclear what the requirements were? Um, did you not make adjustments during the interview? There's a couple other different things. Or when you're leading things, hey, why didn't people react this way? Why didn't it go well?
yes.
Why did we get people late? Why did, for instance, one of the CCDC events in LA not go as well, or the one in New Haven not go as well? But it went
Hmm.
great. Patience and figure that out, and really just study and ask those questions to figure out what went well. In some cases, it is
Yes.
something that's beyond your control and nothing you can do with the postmortem. In some cases, you could do a lot more, and everywhere else in between. So,
Mm,
great solution for lessons. If you think it's a great idea, you think it should go, run with it and go with it. If it
yes.
doesn't work, do the postmortem, and also lead with integrity. So those are the three things I put there for the best.
Wow. Powerful. So, what do you think, sir? What do you think is the secret of your success? I think you were one of the youngest junior officer at SPAWAR, to have done all of the work that you did, but everything else you did in the Navy after that, and what you're doing now with machine learning, artificial intelligence, and data science and analytic. Why do you think you are so successful?
Just never stop learning. I just one thing I keep challenging myself is never stop learning. Always continue to do more, and to do things that I think are beneficial to myself and everyone else. So there's been things like, hey, doing this podcast. Hey, I saw that you were doing them. I was like, man, it'd be great. I would love to go back and work with Bob again.
Yes.
Got his podcast. Was shocked that I was going after Stanley McChrystal. Okay,
Yes.
but that's what you get when you can go out there and you're always looking forward, leaning in, and trying to do things and keep improving yourself, and doing that, and learning things, continually. Always have a continuous learning. Always doing certifications. So, for instance, I'm an Altrex ACE, which is an Altrex certified expert, and it's something that I wanted to do, and I learned Altrex, and it's data science software. I use a lot for predictive analytics. I used it to analyze results of the survey for the book, and
Hmm.
I'll in the book as well. And I'm in this group of people. We even met this morning, for instance, and I was like, wow, all these great, brilliant minds. And when
Yes.
you're around those brilliant minds, you get better and better and better. You got to make sure you're always
Mm,
around there. I think people always talk about iron sharpens iron from the Proverbs. Same,
yes.
sharp minds sharpen other minds. You're always with those people. Then it goes back to my thing that preparation means opportunity. You're always with those people, and the opportunities will show up when you're always
Mm,
with those talented people. and everything starts coming full circle. Say, okay, work with these
Wow.
people, go to these things, go to these events, you meet all these great people, and those great people introduce you to other great people. And then again, that's how your luck comes to fruition, because you're
Mhm.
prepared, you're working with people, and those opportunities do present themselves. So I say that's
Wow.
I tell everyone to take. Uh, hey, that means, hey, maybe if you're not feeling that great on a Tuesday night, but you still want to go to this networking event,
Mhm.
definitely. Oh, hey, could you fit in this podcast here or do something here? Always make that extra effort to go. Even if you can only get a half hour of the 2 hour thing, or 45 minutes,
Yes.
get something, get there, find 5 people, get their LinkedIn's, add them, and
Mm.
go from there, and always get some new contacts, because every time you meet somebody you learn something new, I think, and the whole thing is great. So yeah, network. So in conclusion, networking,
Yes.
leading, and uh, taking some risks, and leaning forward, and doing things that you might not necessarily do those, because it will be beneficial, and you might not ever get a chance to do it again in life. And I say,
Mm.
go for it, put the extra effort in, because the extra effort is almost always rewarded.
Wow. That is actually a great segue to the next question. So, what are you learning right now? Because leaders are learners. So what are you learning now?
Yeah, so right now, like I mentioned, I just did the Agile Certified Practitioner, did some Agile frameworks. I had heard about Agile. We weren't exactly using it in the private sector where I was. And I just said, I just want to know more. I keep hearing all these terms,
Yes.
and it was all these things that kept coming here. And I was like, I don't know, what is it? Okay, what is a Kanban? And what is extreme programming? And, what is a happy path? And what is all these
Yeah.
terms I'm hearing? It was driving me nuts. So you know what? I decided, I'd written one book. I decided to get the certification. I'd
Wow.
already PMI, RMP, and I've had those since 2014. So after 10 years, I went back and got another certification in project management to really understand and be able to understand more, because I've been working on all these agile projects, but it was great to see it from the book of knowledge and on a deeper understanding.
Mm.
And I learned a lot there. Also, the Alteryx ACE piece. I got a chance to get my ACE after using Alteryx for 12 years and loving it every day.
Wow.
And I'm looking to, they actually have a competition called Grand Prix, where all the best aces get together. It's going to be in Orlando, and we're going to battle it out. Hopefully I'll be able to battle it out in Orlando next year, and see who can take home the title of best user. And
Mm.
I love it, and I love the problem solving and everything. So it's a lot going on, trying to write a book and be an ace, and do agile. But I do feel a lot that I'm rewarded with all this knowledge and being able to do so many great things.
Wow. That is really exciting. I couldn't be happier with everything you are doing. So, something you alluded to when you talked about the post mortem, right?
Yeah.
Failure. This coin shows failure on one side, success on the other side. No, two
Mhm.
sides of a very same coin. How has failure shaped your life?
Oh, definitely. I would say, sometimes the best teacher. People always say the first assignment in learning, fail. Right? I totally agree. I mean, there's things where I thought I'd be doing something for a long time, and it didn't quite work out. And sometimes there's failure, but then sometimes there's other things too. We'll talk about both, where you just don't do as well as you thought you did, or
Mhm.
hey, really a failure, or just, well, maybe a fifth place, right? You didn't fail, but you didn't get what you thought you were going to get. So I'd say failure. Um, Definitely, I've had some things that I didn't do as well. Go back to the academy with swimming and some other things where I didn't swim well. I failed some tests, had to go back and do them over and over and over again, and just saying, I had to learn, hey, you know what? Don't think about it. Just get up in the morning, go to the pool, and swim as many laps as you can, and get better every day in the pool, and eventually pass those tests. And certain things in life
Wow.
about repetition and getting out there and showing up and doing it. There's no way out. You just got to put the hard work in.
I,
Um,
that's really wonderful. I am laughing because I am not the only black person who joined the Navy didn't know how to
yeah,
swim.
yeah, Toronto, that was my excuse. But I'm glad. By the way, if you're going to play Navy, please swim. I tell all my candidates too. What's your swim?
Yeah.
Most of them were great years. Some of them they're not. I said, hey, well, we
Yeah.
need to get in the pool. Uh, Yeah, definitely. But then certain other times, there's times where I just didn't do as well as I thought I would do. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the thing. When you outright fail something, sometimes it's better because you go do the post-mortem and say, I outright failed this. But
Yes.
it's did okay or just kind of got by. That can be worse because you just got by and you didn't really do the post-mortem because you didn't fail. So I'll mention that in the book too. Sometimes the worst thing that can happen is you just get by instead of having an outright fail where you really have to do the post-mortem, ask
Yes.
yourself the tough questions and go to people and say, hey, what was it that I didn't do right or
Mm.
well enough? Certain cases, it can be like, hey, it just wasn't the cards, there was nothing else that could be done. Other cases, it could be like, hey, you know what, you seemed shaky, or this happened, or this mannerism in war you didn't work on, or it was your nomenclature and the terminology wasn't quite there. People would say, I knew that you knew in your head, you knew it, but it wasn't coming out. You weren't articulating the terminology and the nomenclature and all other things. And this is what you could do. Where other people were great about just saying, okay, here's some of the nomenclature and terminology. Because I mentioned agile, you're talking about, happy path and Kanban, mention
Mm-hmm.
what they mean, and then going forth. And that worked out really well.
Mm.
And that's what you could say. So I'd say, in conclusion, failure can be the best because it's going to teach you about yourself, and you learn a lot when you're really struggling and pushing yourself. But then also don't discount times where you've done well, but you did not do as well as you thought you would do, or you kind of got a fifth place kind of effort where you thought you'd get first or second. And not discounting those, taking those efforts and say, okay, I got fifth place. Do a post-mortem. What could I have done better?
Mm-hmm.
Am I doing too much? That's one thing that sometimes I ask myself, am I doing too much? Try to do a book and everything else, possibly. And hey, you get cut down. You got to get laser focused, and all the other pieces. And getting back to things I said earlier. Hey, you make sure you're working out, 3 times a week and whatnot, and keeping that there to keep the stress at bay. Because I really think that
Yes.
stress gets people a lot more than anything else. And
Mm.
together. So, in conclusion, failure is great, but then also when you don't do as good as you think you would do on something, that fifth place kind of effort, still.
Yes. Hmm. That, that is quite powerful. And earlier, I asked about some of the mentors, people who have impacted your life. We talked about Admiral Halsey, outstanding person. Who else? I think in the PDF you shared, you
Yeah.
mentioned Patrick Lencioni. Why should people follow him?
Oh God, as far as organizational health, he is great. I really love all of his books. He's got all these vignette styles. As far
Yes.
as the quicksand with the vignette pieces, you definitely kind of see some of my impressionistic pieces of his vignettes, where he'll have a vignette story kind of built around five dysfunctional team, death by
Mhm.
meeting. His best book ever was Death by Meeting, but not the five dysfunctions.
Yeah.
But he's an amazing author, and I've got like 8 of his books here.
Wow, amazing. I'm gonna get more into him. I got introduced to him through Dr. John C. Maxwell. They do a lot of things
So
together.
I'm really looking forward to using some of the same things that they're doing there, and finding ways to, okay, great. So how could I replicate
Hmm.
thing that he was able to do? And but this time we're going to talk about with the quicksand and some of his vignette styles and using some of his impression
Yes.
pieces there. So.
Wow, powerful. So, if you could have dinner with three people, alive, dead, or mythical figures, who would you choose and why?
That's a great question. People, I think that there's a lot of people. So the reason when I went through my process, I wanted to talk about one a great person, definitely the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. By all means, that it doesn't kind of get any better than him, right? I mean, he was just such an amazing person that you're just not going to see anything more with that. The second was my grandfather, and yeah. So let's hey, let's start with Dr. King. What more can I say? He had a mission statement. He went out. He lived his life with truth and honesty, integrity, and unfortunately, he paid for it with his life. and arguably the greatest leader of our generation. I mean, excuse me, the greatest leader of
So
the American history. Right? There's obviously a holiday for his name for everything that he's done, and I've read his
well,
book.
for the time being, but
Mhm.
yes.
Oh yeah, Valerius from Birmingham jail. Some of the things he did. I would like to ask what maybe what realistically he thought he would get. What did he think he would get? How was going to be different? If he really had any insights, and did he elaborate on some of the things that he talked about as an
Hmm.
adult? Say, what did you really think? What was it? What was he like? Was he funny? I've heard things that he told jokes, and what was his leadership style? How people to move, and what was his like? So I'd say, hey, great
Yes.
leader, loved that. The second was my grandfather. So that was the best picture that I could find there.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, so he was a Kentucky colonel, and for folks who are not familiar with that, it's not a military designation; it's more like a state designation for someone who's lived their life in a very honorable way. Um,
Mm.
and great man, he was a principal for a long time in a place called Mount Sterling, Kentucky. The gym in a place called the Du Bois Rec Center is still named after him, and
Wow.
scholarship in his name has been great. I'm gonna keep that scholarship going as long as I possibly can. As far as me and my mother and my aunt as well. And just I would love to, he died when I was maybe 12 or 13, and I would love to just have some adult conversations with him about, hey, what was it like in the 60s and in the 50s
Mm.
and the 40s, you know, as far as being a principal. He was actually a principal at a segregated school before they
Wow.
entered schools. And just to talk to what was it like? What were the differences? What did you see with people? What practically did you see different? And what do you think about these folks?
Yeah.
And to kind of get understand that his leadership philosophy and some of the things he did. He could have left that area and done more. He had a master's degree when that time was pretty rare.
Wow.
Um, but he decided to stay. Right, his whole thing was that he wanted to stay, and I thought it was the most amazing thing ever that he wanted to stay and empower those youth and empower those people and be their
Hmm.
principal and educate them and lead. And here we have, he's been gone since the 90s. And I we went there, and the people there in Du Bois were so still they were still enamored with the family, and they were so happy that we had the scholarship after all these years.
Wow.
So amazing to keep this thing going, and then the impact he had. And he said, okay, well, he's been gone for 30 some years, but the people there are still running the scholarship. They're still working with the youth,
Mm.
and the pain of people that he's affected is amazing. So once he was gone, the people there picked it up and kept on going. So similar to the way that hopefully things were with Navwar and some other pieces there.
Yes.
There's still a lasting impact long after he's.
That's amazing.
It's totally amazing.
Wow.
Okay, and then definitely, hey, Barack Obama, it'd be great, if I ever get the chance, just to ask him, you know, what was your motivation? Did it happen to you one day? Was there one person? Was there an experience? What
Yes.
was your motivation? Why did you decide to do what you did? I mean, he had the degree from Harvard Law. That's a lot. He could have simply had a private practice and and taken all the funds and done whatever he wanted to do, and we would have known him.
Yes.
Instead he decided to share all of his talents and abilities with the rest of the world. And I thought that was just amazing to see him do.
Mm.
Okay, he could have stayed quiet and stayed local in Chicago. Instead, he
Yeah.
decided into government, and just his motivation is to say to do that. Because I always think it's really interesting to understand someone's motivation. Why did you do what you did when you could have done other things?
Mm.
Could have
Powerful.
financially lucrative or not, but what was your thinking and thought process? So
Yes.
really, three people that that I think were just amazing. One, again, my grandfather. Two, Martin Luther King, and three, Barack Obama. So three great people. and obviously one has a personal connection to, or obviously, on the more in the profession.
Absolutely. So, what about a couple of books that you are reading now that our audience should read as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, Freakonomics. Again, that book's been out, oh, God, about 12, 13 years now. It's Freakonomics. There's a second follow up. There's others. There's a podcast. You can do Freakonomics for a long time. There's so much with that. And I follow the podcast and I've read the books and I just love it. Great book. If you're into big data and how the power of it, by all means, it's a must read. Start there and go. Even though some of the things there are a little bit dated, after it's been about 13, 14 years, still amazing book. Read that one. Read Super Freaking Out.
What about this one?
Yeah, that definitely Can't Hurt Me. So for as far as that goes, um, again, back to the Navy, Chief David Goggins, amazing person. Just not having any excuses, right? Here's a man that at one point he gained a lot of weight and then he became a SEAL and he got through SEAL training. He was the only person to become a SEAL. I think it was Air Force CT and a Ranger. Amazing person who just never let obstacles stop him. Sheer effort and will. And then he became, this ultra marathoner and everything else. So if you read the book, it's an amazing book. He uses lots of language and everything. It's kind of a hard-hitting book. Can't Hurt Me. If you haven't read it, I think you definitely need to read that book because he is like, okay, no excuses. Merry Christmas. Stay hard. I mean, it's just don't have an excuse.
Amazing.
Not feeling like great. I don't want to go work. I'm like, hey, grab gym bag.
Wow.
Just grab your gym bag and go. Get the workout in. Stop talking yourself out of the workout. Go get a workout. I sometimes, there's days from back from work or I'm finishing up for the day and I just want to go and sit on the couch and watch a movie. I'll listen to 5 minutes of David Goggins and say, okay, nope, I'm gonna grab or get on my bike and go for a half hour, 45, 2 hours.
Wow, powerful.
I tell people, look, it's great for getting you through, especially as we're all getting a little bit older now, where it's more comfortable to retire to the couch than it is to jump on a bike or go to the gym or go work out. So I say
that's quite inspirational. Wow.
Absolutely.
So if you had one and only one day to live, what would you have liked your final contribution to be?
I would probably, first I would say, hey, let's start off with one trip to go skiing, right? I love skiing. But in all seriousness, I would probably try to get the biggest podcast I could have and tell people what are things that I could that I would say to them, experiences. I would talk about again leading with honor and discipline and integrity and being forthright. Say this is really what's going to get you through. 2, talk about some of the things I've done with with this data science and then look at some of the reasoning there. And 3, talking about leaning forward in leadership and doing things that are tough and hard and the results you get and always pushing yourself to do things you might not initially do or you might think you could do and always just going for it. So I would say that's what I do. One final day, I would, maybe I would reverse. Just get up in the morning, do the podcast, tell everybody, hey, please listen. If it helps one person, it's definitely worth it. And then I would want to spend my last few hours, potentially skiing or with family, obviously. But yeah, I mean, it's a great question, and I'd say that's what I want people to know. Hey, if I could tell them anything, here are the things I want them to tell them that they can definitely use these nuggets as they go forth in their life and prosper.
Wow, powerful. So if you had a magic wand and you could solve any problem, which one problem would you like to solve tomorrow morning?
That's a tough thing. I would say there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems. I would probably say this is what I'm going to call the college algebra cliff or barrier. What I've been seeing with some of the youth, I got a chance to teach as well. College algebra prevents a lot of people from getting to the better jobs in society because they can't get some of the quadratic equations and squaring and the square roots. And what you'll see, and that's me there at Peak to Peak Charter School, is that's where you see some difficulty. And I saw it when I taught a college class of qualitative economics there, or sorry, it was qualitative methods. Qualitative methods was everyone in the class was doing great until we started squaring and square rooting and using quadratic equations.
Mm.
And what happens is that's really kind of the barrier. If we could work on getting those students past that and into more advanced math, that's where they could get some more sustainable jobs. And that's one of the things I've seen. I'm talking a little bit about it in the book too. With quicksand, is that's a trap, and sometimes they get there, and it's just really really hard to learn initially. It definitely has situations where when you do those particular things, that particular math, it can be a little bit limiting. So how do you get people past that? How do you do that, and how do you work on that? And that's the biggest problem. I think a lot of people will realize you can get through this math, but you're gonna have to struggle. You're gonna fail, and after a while you'll get it. Now, plenty of people do really well, and plus, hey, college algebra was like 8th grade, 9th grade, 7th grade for some of us. Some of us are younger, but for some people, that really is something they can't get through, and that really can hold them back from, getting degrees and getting better jobs and getting those sustainable jobs. So definitely, I would work on finding ways to get people more into STEM and getting past what I consider that college algebra wall there that I've seen. If I could solve that problem, a long way.
Okay, we're getting toward the end. Thank you so much for your time. I think this is going to be the longest podcast I've ever done. I'm really, really grateful for your time, my mentor, my friend, to really help my audience get all of those lessons. You've really experienced. It's not just things that you've read in books, but you've really experienced throughout your life in the Navy and beyond. How can we add value back to you?
Honestly, just hey, if somebody wants to go ahead and read through some of the data science shorts I've done, please go read through some of those. Give me some feedback there. If you could take the survey for quicksand, I'd really appreciate it. We'll put that link out there. It takes about 8-9 minutes. It's pretty fun. I think it's a fun survey. I'm definitely going to finish up the book. And I've been writing, but I still got to make sure we get enough submissions before I can make this a comprehensive book and have the data there. Do that. I really appreciate that, and then just give me any feedback that you see. I really appreciate it. And again, if this helps one person do anything, gets past an obstacle or anything else, or helps them, or someone contacts me and says, "Hey, how did you get past this? And how could you use some things you talked about in your podcast to help me?" Then it's definitely worth it. And again, I try to be a humble servant leader. And hey, like I say, when you do well and you lead yourself with on honesty, integrity, you'll find people that you haven't talked to a while, like yourself, Bob, where you said all those wonderful things, and that means enough. That means so much to me that hey, you know what? Just hearing those words you had in the introduction was definitely worth the time we had today. And I really hope everyone else can take these words and wisdom, and in some cases hard learned lessons and go for it.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks so much. I'm going to try to land this plan down the next couple of minutes. But before I do, is there a question I should have asked you that I didn't get a chance to ask?
Sure.
Anything you wanted to share?
No, I think we've talked a lot. I would say, conduct yourself with honesty, integrity, be forthright, have the tough conversations, do things maybe you wouldn't normally do. I can always tell you, there'll be a great reward. Reach out, meet people, and then network, and then do those things. And again, you will definitely be rewarded in life. So I say thank you all for listening, and good luck in all your future endeavors.
All right. So before we finish, let me ask you the most important question of the podcast. If you could go back and give a piece of advice to your 17-year-old self, standing at the edge of this incredible career you've had, a black man in America and all of the successes you've had, what would you say to 17-year-old Matthew?
Take a deep breath. I think at the time I thought I was going to do all these crazy things. I think I should say, take a deep breath, and then write down what I want to do. Because one thing that I think I could say is I get too many things I want to do, and you can't do everything. And it's like, hey, if you want to do a gospel choir and do track and do this and do that, there's only so many ands. So
Yes.
2 ands, your main thing, and 1 and 1 minor and. So I should just say, but if you're gonna go to the academy, you're gonna be a midshipman, and you're gonna be in the gospel choir, or you'll be track, and then that's it. You're not gonna be all this other stuff, and you have to really, really figure out that only 2 ands. Because in high school, you might have been able to have 5 ands. College, make sure you only have 1 or 2. You have your main gig and one major kind of ECA, one other thing, and that is it. Take all the rest of your time and focus on those.
Focus.
Because
powerful.
If you don't, you can get caught up in too much and just get overwhelmed. At least in my personality, I was just getting overwhelmed and too involved, and so just focused on these 1 or 2 things.
All right. That is quite powerful. So we're gonna land this plan down now. So it's gonna be light round, rapid fires. Don't take too long to think. So whatever comes to your mind quickly. One word that defines great leadership.
Gotta go to honesty.
Honesty. Okay. Yeah. Morning routine or practice that keeps you grounded.
Reading the newspaper. Well, or online newspapers.
Very good. A book or a quote that changed your life.
Let's go with the Proverbs. Iron sharpens iron.
Very good. And who inspired you most today?
Grandfather. So we talked about him. Definitely him. Yep.
Very good. And what did you want to do when you were a kid?
I wanted to be a lawyer, believe it or not.
Wow. Okay. You didn't do that. All right. And 3 adjectives describing you as a child.
Let's go with rambunctious.
2 more.
Curious.
1 more.
And analytical.
Okay, as an adult.
Yeah, let's go with rambunctious. Let's go with lifetime learner, and let's go with analytical.
Yes, analytical for sure. I don't know about rambunctious, but okay. This is the very last question, and we end the show. What is one word that represents our experience on this podcast today?
Amazing experience, and it's amazing experience.
Okay, I'm so grateful, my friend, my commander, former program manager and mentor, Commander Matthew Reese, everyone. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate it. Please get a chance to do my survey and spread the word. Thank you so much, Bob. It's been amazing. And I look forward to talking to you soon.
All right. Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If today's episode added value to your leadership journey, be sure to subscribe, share, and join us again for more wisdom nuggets on how to lead better and achieve greater success. Remember, leadership is the most critical skill of our time. The world will always need leaders to inspire others, drive innovation, and execute meaningful strategy. So why not count yourself among the bold leaders shaping the 21st century? Until next time, stay inspired, stay committed, and keep leading with excellence.